For all of you guys who are interested in fish farming, on this channel we have outlined 4 things that could help your fish farm to thrive. Out of these 4 things, we say that you need a good space and setup for your fish farm. You also need quality water, good feed, and then also you need to be trained. In this episode in Lartman Farms, we are going to discuss the steps to test for quality feed for your fish. Because feed is a 70% of our total cost of production. For that reason, the type of feed that you use can either impact your production positively or negatively. Aside that, also there are different brands of feed in the market, and there are different environments and different places that you like to set up your farm. And so we are going to outline some of the factors or some of the things that you can do to be able to identify the best brand of fish feed to use. Because we have always been saying that you also as a farmer need to be able to find ways to identify the very good brand for your own production processes. The first step to be able to run this will be getting of your tank. So if you want to run a test on your fish feed, the Lartman Farms, what we do is the IBC tanks, we have 2 of them that we use, but then it depends on the quantity of feeds that you want to try. So if you want to try about 4 or 5 or 6 different feeds, then it means that you need about 6 different tanks. So you position those tanks, they are all going to require the same source of water. So if you have one reservoir, that reservoir is going to be the tank that you use to feed all of this water. Because you want to make sure that all other parameters are the same and equal, so that the only differences will be the fish feed. And so after you have your fish tanks, you set them up, then you fill them up. Then the next thing you look out for will be your fingerlings. Now with the fingerlings, you make sure you get the same size and then the same quantity. So in tank A, you can drop 10 fingerlings, tank B 10 fingerlings, tank C 10 fingerlings, and then you understand that now everything is okay with that particular step. As I stated earlier, you want all the conditions in the various tanks to be the same. And so they are going to have the same source water. Changing of water is going to be done at the same time. Feeding is going to be done at the same time. If you want to provide oxygenation, all of those conditions should be very equal. Then you label all the tanks with the type of feed you are going to use. So let's say Ranan, Aleakwa, Enampapa, Fuji's, and any other feeds that you want to use, you label them on each of the following tanks. When it comes to the feeding, if you are going to be feeding your fish about 2 times in a day, between let's say 8 a.m. and then 4 p.m., then what you need to know is the quantity of feed that you use for every single tank should be the same. And so in this quantity, we are trying to make sure that if you are feeding them based on 5% of their body weight or 3% or 2%, that same figure will be consistent with the other brands of feed. So if at the end of your calculation you decide to feed your fish, let's say 200 grams of feed, it means that 200 grams will be given to each and every tank for your test. Make sure these feed are being stored in a cool and dry area, and also make sure that you do not go in for feeds that are not necessarily from the company. I'm talking about fake ones, because we have come across some feeds that are actually fake. So companies or individuals will take feed and then they can produce some of the feeds in their own backyard, in their own location or different spaces, and then they'll get a container and then just package them and then bring them to the market. So this particular kind of test that we are doing is to make sure that we are able to identify the brand and then also choose the brand or the type of feed that you will use for your next cycle of production or your major cycles of production. It is also important for you to understand that certain brands of feed during the beginning of the production may maintain a certain quality, but then as a result of time they may drop. We've seen this several times with some brands. They start with a high quality of feed and then they drop. And so normally we tell our farmers, you don't buy your fish feed based on brand or name, but you buy based on results. And so you make sure that you have all of these things in place. So let's say you are using brand A and you've been using it for let's say 3 years. Within the 3 years, there's a possibility they could decrease the quality or they could increase the quality. That's the same with other brands which could also either increase the quality or decrease the quality. In Ghana, we've been able to test them multiple times. I think we've done that for like 2 years straight, where you are just testing different brands and different types of feed to be able to know which one is optimum for your production. So other things that you also take records of will be the quantity of feed, and then every 2 weeks you would have to weigh the fish again. So you take, if you are 10 in the pond, you take the fish in the pond and then measure the average weight per every pond. This is also going to tell you how well some of these fish perform. Some of them you see that at the fingerling stage they were performing maybe quite well, and then they change, and so you can note those things down. Also, you also like to note if there are some of the fish that are not eating, because if some of the fish you are feeding the same fish, all the fish in different ponds, and some of the fish are not eating, you can also draw a conclusion from there. It also talks about whether the feed is that palatable or not, or desired by the fish. Another very important aspect that we like to look at will also be mortality, because as you are running these records, there's the potency that some of these fish feed could increase your mortality or decrease your mortality. So you can record all of these things down, so that when you want to run your major production, it will be easy for you to make the right choice in terms of the feed based on your location and other environmental factors that you will face with at where you find yourself. Remember, since we said that you have to record the average weight of fish in your pond every 2 weeks, it also means that you would also need to adjust the quantity of fish you give to them. So if you are giving them 200 grams, in the next 2 weeks, you would have to increase the figure. And that will be based on the weight of the fish again, and then the percentage that you will choose to use for that particular test. After running this same process over and over for, let's say, 4 months or almost 6 months, then you can sit down with your team, and then you can now decide and conclude on the best FCR. FCR is feed conversion ratio. That is to say that for some feed, instead of 1 kg of feed to 1 kg of fish weight, you would realize that you rather need 1.2 kg of feed to produce 1 kg of weight, whereas maybe the figure could be extremely high from there. And so based on that, you can now choose the best FCR for your fish farm. The higher your FCR, that is to say, if 2 kg of feed will give you 1 kg of weight, it means that you're going to spend more on your production. And then if you would require exactly 1 kg of feed to 1 kg of fish weight, then it means that you are producing at optimum levels in terms of your production processes. And so this is very critical to whatever thing you want to do, because the feed is a 70% of the total cost of production. And so any increase in the quantity required will mean that you are going to incur more losses, and then also any decrease in the quantity required is also going to increase the profits that you are going to get at the end of the day. So at the end of this process, you will now be left with, let's say, 1 or 2 grams of feed that you choose for your production process. It doesn't mean that that's the end of the process over there. The next thing you can do is, right after that production, you can use that for the next 4 production cycles. So if you are doing every 6 months, you can run that for 2 years, and then you can run the test all over again to check whether that company has maintained the quality or they may have decreased the quality. And these things can easily be noticed if you are taking proper records. Even after that particular set of production, if you take the actual records that you will need, it will mean that you are going to run a very efficient production in your farm. So that brings us to the end of today's episode. Lartman Farms is organizing a fish farmers training that will be on the 31st March to the 1st of April, the 2-day training. For you guys who have been reaching out to us from Nigeria, and then from Zimbabwe, from Liberia, and then other parts of Africa, and then also in Europe and other parts of the world, this training will also be live, and so people will be able to join during our live session. And then those who would also like to join in person, you can come around, we'll give you all the details. So to be able to register for the training, In the description section, we'll give you the link. You just click on the link, you get in touch with us, and then we'll be able to help you to register for the training. If you have other questions with regards to whatever thing we've discussed today, you can let us know them in the comment section. What we are now trying to do is we are trying to bring up episodes which is basically we answering your questions, so that you don't just watch the channel all through, but then also you have answers to whatever questions that you have. Thank you so much, and we would like to entreat you guys to like, share, and subscribe. A lot of you guys do watch the episode, but you do not subscribe. So make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you in our next episode. Bye.